Wednesday. This is our favorite day of the week because we get to spend it with you. Jesus.Plus.Life is all about giving you cheery conversations on juicy topics, the kind of topics that we are all walking through right now. Instead of trying to do it alone, we want you to know we are all in this together. This week's episode is so good, and we don't want you to miss a minute of it. We are going to show part 1 of this conversation and then part 2 next week. Sonny sits down with Dawn and Angela, and they talk through the topic of friendship and kids. Hit that share button right now so everyone you know can watch this with you. Here is this week's conversation.
For me, especially this past couple of years, I've had many friends that have marital relationship challenges, and I've thought it's been a struggle for me, and it's kind of helped me stay on point with my own Jesus journey. Wow. And I was wondering if you'd ever been through something similar and kind of what you did.
Well, I think it's a good point that you are learning from what they're going through to go, I need to really check myself, my marriage, my Jesus journey, because you know, when we're teachable, we learn from people's good and bad situations. So I think that's wise. And then when you say, how do you help someone going through that? I think watching you react and them being able to see how you run to Jesus or you dig deeper rather than maybe you go the route or the direction their life went. I think that's helpful because you're really an example to them by how you react and respond. And it's, you know, when you're talking friends, it's much easier to just be like, I'm so sorry, and kind of find a common enemy, kind of find a common thread and it can get very dramatic and very complicated. But if you can go, actually, I'm going to simplify it more, and I'm going to keep reminding you of the simple truths of Jesus and just I need to stay focused on Jesus. I think that can help someone by example rather than what are the words to help somebody going through a lot.
Right. We've been friends a long time, and we had a lot more commonalities when we first were friends. Right. We were both moms, we both had young kids, we were both married, and through the years, I have older children, and different things have changed in our lives. And I think you would agree that it's been a struggle to maintain that friendship as that commonality changed to we have more differences than things in common. Mm-hmm. And so how do you, I'm sure you have this, like how do you balance that in friendships and keeping that connection despite those changes that lead to so many different life circumstances?
Right. Well, I think for you guys, this is a friendship worth fighting for and finding time for. Mm-hmm. And so you probably have to be more creative, and it's probably more spread out, right? Yes, creative, that's the key word. And you know that you have your standing Black Friday date. Yes, that's where I first met you 6 years ago.
That's right.
Dawn's like, we're at Yonkers, and Dawn's like, hi, Sonny, here's my friend. We're going, gotta go. And I'm like, well, that was Angela. But definitely you guys have kept, you were just talking about it, that long-standing Black Friday date.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm sure now instead of 12 other times in the year, maybe it's 6 times in the year that you actually can get together because you have babies now, and you're like, I'm in the teenage years, and probably Linnea can drive my kids where they need to be. Like, life is completely different. Right. But is it worth fighting for? Season is for sure my best friend and my sister, and we're in very different spots in that she has a toddler, and when she was pregnant and had a baby, and my kids were becoming independent where I could leave them home all day alone. That was different. So now we're coordinating around Magnolia's naps and her life. And I think because it's worth fighting for, I'm not irritated by it. Mm-hmm. Or I'm not like, it's just not working out. But I think we have to give ourselves permission to go some friendships. There's seasons for it. Maybe it'll come back around. Mm-hmm. But it's okay if that's just not what it was. I have no friends from high school.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Of course, we live in different states. That's part of it. But you just you can grow apart because somebody gets married and somebody stays unmarried. And it's not we don't like each other. And we have to give grace for that. Mm-hmm. Maybe we just need to be more open and say, we're at different places. I'm married. That requires a lot more of he's my best friend and where I spend time. And you're still single, that kind of thing. So let's talk about it. Sure. And then there's times you just go, it's okay to let go. And maybe this relationship it's kind of a God thing that we've grown apart because of the spiritual side. Like we've tried to stay on the same place in our Jesus journey, but if you've kind of kept growing and they're stuck, it's totally okay to go, I still love them, but I'm going to have to go further on my Jesus journey, maybe with other Jesus people in my life.
Great questions from these ladies. Friendships seem to always be a topic on these Jesus.Plus.Life conversations. They are just so important in our lives. I loved what Sonny had to say about the topic of friends going through difficult situations. She said when people see how you run to Jesus in your own time of struggle, it is an example worth far more than words. That's so good. Dawn talked about how her and Angela's lives have changed throughout the years, yet they still were able to maintain their deep friendship. It's all about finding out who your real friends are and making time to stay connected. That connection might look different as you go through different seasons of life, but when you find a true friend, that connection is worth fighting for. Who is a friend in your life worth fighting for? Tag them now. Let's hear what else these ladies had to say in this week's episode.
With kids getting older, and starting to question, they're kind of all reaching that teen and tween stage. What have you found to be the most helpful for keeping your kids pointed to Jesus?
Live by example, which is the hardest because
it sounds impossible.
Yeah, it sounds, and it doesn't work well every day, every week. But realizing I can't just give up, like I give up on a gym membership because I won't go 7 days a week, so I give up. It's like if I mess up this week, I just got to live by example. And I keep thinking, oh gosh, did I totally wreck that opportunity? And they're going to remember me as the mom that blows up because the last 2 weeks I've just been so irritated at, they're on their phone or their room's dirty or they need this and need that. And are they going to remember me as that? And I can kind of want to give up and go, it's just who I am. Or do I go, no, next week is a new week, reset. And they're going to remember me as the mom that they walk down to find me and I'm sitting in that room over there reading my Bible and prayer journaling, and there's music playing and it's peaceful, so that in their memory, even when they're grown, they go, Mom was a person, I found her in a place of peace. Therefore, Mom really was a person of peace, versus thinking and wearing the label, I'm yelling all the time. I'm a yeller, because I don't want that, and I don't want them to remember me that way. But how do I do it? Example. I don't think there's like a guide to say this when this is said, because it's so varied. But what is my Jesus journey looking like? Is it looking like something they'd want to have themselves?
What do you do when they push back and they don't want any part of that, despite the example, despite how you have raised them for years and brought them to church and been that example? Like how do you navigate that?
I think you love more and you talk less, and love more might just look like when they say the things that you're like, do you say that to get a reaction? Because that's so not how you were raised. You go, they are doing that to get a reaction. I have decided reverse psychology is my favorite thing. And then I revealed that to Aubrey, and I've not told Isaiah yet. But like if I say this, if I say red, they say yellow. And I love yellow. No, I like red now. I mean, it's like, what has happened to you? And I know that they're good kids and I know they love me and I love them, but like I literally, the times that I'm like, they need to hear an earful and they're not raised that way, are the times I go, Sonny, do the opposite. Be like, and act like that doesn't even bother me. Because what I noticed is I've had then weeks later, I'll hear them say, my friend's doing this and it's crazy. Like they're juuling, and I think I'm not going to be around that. And I think, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you're making the decision. So you know what? They're going to stick to it, because I didn't say they jewel, so you can't be their friend. Now they made the decision. So it's like love more, speak less when they push. I don't think it's fine, leave the house, go do whatever you want. It's just in a calm, loving, no, you can't go right now. And then that sounds easy, but it's the thing that I have to try to just keep in my head.
Living by example, that is such a hard path to walk. We for sure fail at that every day. but every day is a new day and a new opportunity for your kids or those in your home to catch you living for Jesus. It might be in the times you aren't even trying, but if you are constantly striving to keep Jesus the center of your life, your kids will see that, even through those weeks where it feels like all you are doing is correcting them or arguing or listening to the door slamming. Stay the course and don't give up. Maybe try Sonny's reverse psychology technique. Love more, speak less when they push. Write that down and keep it in your back pocket. If you are looking for more parent resources, join the Parent Life Facebook group and get in the community of other parents just like you. Speaking of community, if you are married or engaged to be married, we have a pocket of people for you too. Watch this promo for a Marriage Life conference that's happening in September. If you haven't registered for that conference, register today. Maybe even be a host site and circle up with other married friends and build stronger marriages together. Let's jump right back into this week's episode as we wrap up part 1 of the conversation.
When you do maybe lose it, I sometimes can be a yeller myself. And
Confessions of the soul, we all are.
Oops. How do you dial that back, or how do you repair that with your kids?
Sean is a master at this, even to the point there's been times I'm like, don't you go apologize to them, because that is his rhythm.
Sure.
But what I've seen over the years is that he yells less because I think he's sick of going to their room to apologize.
Sure.
I think, frankly, he's just like sick of it. It's not even he doesn't want to yell at him. I think he's going, I just don't want to have to take the extra time, because this discipline went from 15 minutes to 2 hours. I mean, because Sean will really take the time to like sit there. And what's interesting is when he goes and apologizes, it does open this wellspring that they just start talking. And we've had both our kids, which luckily I don't think they watch Jesus.Plus.Life. I mean, I'd love if they watch these, but I don't think they watch it. But they've both cried at the times when Sean came to apologize, not because he said he was sorry, but because he came vulnerable and said, I'm sorry. Like, that's just not acceptable. Like, no, I don't agree with what you did, or you're still grounded, but I didn't need to yell.
Sure.
And I didn't need to yell for 5 minutes straight about everything else that's not related to this. And then that vulnerability, they're like, Daddy, my friends hate me. And you're like, where did that come from? Sure. And it's just, it creates this. So I've watched him, and I try to model the go and apologize, but I'm even a quicker learn. I'm like, I don't want to apologize. So I've yelled less.
Sure.
Do I still? Yes. And usually my apology isn't nice like Sean's. My apology is like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it that way. But, so like, I've learned to apologize, but I still need to do it a little more. Yeah. I think I try to apologize too quick. Instead, I need to go with real genuine apology and do it then. When I'm like ready to not still wanna and add something to it. But I think, kids for generations, I don't know about you guys, but like I know my mom's parents and my dad's parents, it wasn't generationally the thing to do to apologize.
Right.
I was like, I'm the parent, that's why.
Right.
Yeah.
I said so, that's why.
Right.
We can definitely swing to the other side and go, well, I want to be their best friend, and they don't need a curfew, and let them smoke pot and drink because they're gonna have to learn.
Right.
Like we have all these weird philosophies now. We just hid it from our parents, but there was no like apology.
Right. Oh no,
back then.
Parents never ever apologized or acknowledged any sort of regret for, maybe anything. And for me, that's a big thing that I try to do. I try to be intentional and not get to the yelling, screaming, crazy part of me, but it's there and it happens. And I do feel like that's an opportunity, for myself to heal from, things that happened when I was raised, and also just try to show, our son, like, you make mistakes and you can repair them.
Yes.
You can all move forward.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Parents, are you feeling better that you are not alone about being a yeller? We all have been there and done that. I love that the application here is we can correct it. We can humble ourselves and apologize. It all comes back to living by example. These ladies have so much more to say about relationship with kids, family dynamics, and the insanity of life. Join us next week for part 2 of this conversation. You can stay connected with Jesus.Plus.Life throughout the week by following our Instagram or joining our Facebook group. We can't wait to see you again next Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. for another episode, centered on Jesus' wisdom through one cheery conversation at a time.